Namaste. Welcome to the live today on the topic of Devi. I am deliberately not acknowledging or waiting for anybody to join this live because we will be sharing this live on our feed at a later point of time. So, hope you're all doing well. We will jump straight into a very short topic on Devi. Devi, in normal parlance at a global level, is translated as goddess, which represents the form of the divine feminine. I will try to keep this entire topic as simple as possible, as easily understood by a layman. So I'm not going to use very many Sanskrita words, but just for the convenience of understanding the bigness of this topic of Devi, I'm going to just introduce you to the etymology of Devi. Devi comes from the root div, which means light. Okay, so it is the same root for Deva and the same root for Devi. What could be the origin of div, light, as a form for that being to be so powerful? The light form in itself contains many aspects of nature, which includes the sacred geometry, the way the light arranges itself at different points of time, which goes on to make something called as yantra. So in a way, what we understand as human beings or any physical structures of beings is also a yantra. Yantra loosely translates to an instrument. So the light which inhabits a certain structure of a certain frequency is called as Devi. Now, coming to the understanding of Devi in the Hindu concept can be extremely overwhelming for people who are not from this faith, who are not from this country, or haven't really gotten acquainted with the vastitude of this representation of culture. There can be other civilizations also, which could be taken as a reference, but the form which governs the life force remains the same. So we will stick to understanding Devi in the form of three principal forces. Jnana Shakti, which is the knowledge, the power of knowledge as goddess. Ichha Shakti, the willpower, the one who creates a sankalpa and a desire. Kriya Shakti, the one who is responsible for making things happen, come to a fruition, come to an effective manifestation. So these are the three big pillars of the construct of Devi form. I'm not going to go into the aspects of Durga or the forms of Mahavidya, Dasha Mahavidya, because they can be very complex and it's not conducive to share it on a generic platform. So I mentioned earlier about the root of div, So please try to understand that we are also beings of light. When we start understanding ourselves more than our physical form allows us to give acknowledgement to, we become that much more vibration and that much less matter. And it does not mean to say we have to self-efface ourselves by denying ourselves the material or the matter point of existence. It encapsulates the matter, the gross level of physicality on its own the moment we are able to tune into the vibration. Vibration is like a cosmic pattern which keeps happening, which is ever present and relevant inside and outside of us. And Devi is the source or the beginning of all manifestations, which is why we refer to her as Adi Shakti, Para Shakti. Adi means the source. Para means the one which is beyond, the beyond of the beyond. Beyond of the beginning that can be known ever. Okay. Now her sanchalana, which means her movement, is defined very differently to different species and to two main genders, masculine and feminine. So they both have this form. That means as a man, you can experience the power of the Shakti. Shakti means power. The power of the divine feminine. As well as a woman can experience the divine masculine principle of the existence, Purusha Tattva, which is the divine masculine part. But it also moves in a very different wiring for a species which is born as a woman, which is born as a man. So they conduct these principles of divine masculine and divine feminine in their own visceral level of wiring. What do I mean by that? So for example, a woman who is doing the practice, who's born as a woman in the woman body, will naturally have the ability to connect, to harness, to feel, to emote and express in a very different way. So this is what we refer to as going back to your roots, going back to the ancestry of your birth. And a Purusha, for example, in the contrast, has to connect with the Purusha Tattva, the divine masculine form. Whereas the energy of the Shakti, which is the Devi, is primordial, she flows very differently into a man and a woman. When we are in a consciousness stage, which is beyond physicality, which is beyond our mental obstacles, objections, etc., we can look at balancing these powers, the divine masculine and the divine feminine. That's when we are in the existence stage of being a soul, which is beyond the influences of our sex that we are born with. Okay? Now, in terms of making ourselves open to the grace of this power or Shakti, we can do it in many myriad ways. One way is to be in the stage of receptivity by being in deep meditation, or by even practices which are related to the sound, which is what mantra yoga encapsulates. Or it can be through the light forms, which is what is the celestial color healing, the pranic healing, etc. deals with. But I'm not sure if there are enough studies done to link the light part of the healing with the sound part of the healing. But it is very obvious once you're a practitioner who straddles across both the spectra, you will know how they are interlinked. And the other common way to connect is through sacred geometry, okay, or the yantra. Now that the third part, the yantra, is usually predominantly used in the tantric side of worshipping. Actually, tantra just means technology, the way you conduct the energy in a particular way, how you make the structure, the flow of this energy into different aspects of beings or objects. You know, it's just alchemy, the science of alchemy, loosely put. Now, these forms of Devi, I would urge you to visualize as celestial beings. Okay, these celestial beings have their own attributes, their own temperament, their own vibration frequency, the way they feel, the way they make themselves be felt, the way of their force can be all very different. Some can be saumya, which means soft, gentle, and some can be ugra, which means intense. Okay, I'm going to only deal with the Saumya Devis, which are gentle forms of Devi, because again, it is the alchemy of the science of the body. We are used to a very optimal, like very average level of electricity in the body. We cannot take something which is in excess to be introduced all of a sudden without a prior practice. And this is why in yoga there are ways in which you establish yourself into the meditation by slowly expanding your energetic body. Because when you expand your energetic body, you allow for the higher vibrations like Deva and Devi to be received, to be understood, to be felt inside your body as an instrument, yantra. So all of these are interlinked part. Okay, so like there is a triad, okay, a triad of three principal Devis, as I told you earlier: Jnana Shakti, Ichha Shakti, and Kriya Shakti. And we represent them also in the form of Parvati, Lakshmi, Parvati, and Saraswati. Lakshmi is considered as the goddess of prosperity, which she is, and abundance. She also is for beauty, magnetism, charisma, presence of everything which is in fullness. Okay, and please notice that though these forms are like three different forms, it doesn't mean that one quality does not exist in the other. They are not mutually exclusive. Okay, so Parvati also stands for magnetism. She's also fullness. She's also representing empowerment. She's more towards bringing action. Okay, so bringing something into effect with the power is Parvati Devi. And whereas the jnana, the section of wisdom, the section of acquiring any type of knowledge, attaining different types of arts, passion, what else in the physical form can be acknowledged? Any form of learning, the thirst for knowledge, the thirst for knowing, the search for even the query is governed by the goddess of Saraswati. Now they all have their imprints. Okay, I will just briefly share with you a moment. Please don't send me any requests to be in my live. Okay? Thanks. I will tell you an incident about Tripura Sundari. Okay? She is actually an amalgamation of all the three Devis. There was a time of crisis in my life, and I was deeply devoted to this goddess, Sri Lalita Devi, and the way I was interacting with this particular person who was the challenge at that point of time made a request that was clearly shown to me as what it could lead to a danger. And all I did was I just closed my eyes and I surrendered myself to her and said, okay, it's up to you how you want to guide me, how you want to take care of this. It's all up to you. And there is an intense surge in my back and a sense of calmness and peace, almost exuding this confidence. And I just looked straight in the eye of this person and was able to deliver the message which he did not imagine he would receive from me. He was petrified and he just held his both hands in the form of pranam. He said, I don't know what I saw right now. So I said, you saw what you saw. And it's not me at the moment who is telling you this to back off. That person, you cannot imagine, in terms of the stature, in terms of the age, in terms of the capacity in which I could have been harmed, it was way beyond the imagination. But it just happened in that moment, and the situation got completely dissolved. And I came away and I was just trying to make sense of this entire situation. By the way, I was just 15. I was 15 at that point of time. So I didn't have all of this entire understanding of how it works. I was just devoted and I was doing my practices, of course, but I didn't know the inner meanings of it. I didn't know the inner mechanics of it. And from then on, there is a sort of presence which I feel, I know who's coming in, and they have their own ways to take over a situation and make it work in your best favor. They're always not in the form of mother. They can be consorts, they can be your partners. They can also come in the form of balika, in the form of a child. But for me, predominantly I am connected to the mother form of Devi. And I have innumerable number of experiences of her. I would love to share them whenever there is an opportunity for it. Okay. So, anyways, the reason why I wanted to come live for this topic was there were some queries about how do we get into the practice of Devi, and for which I thought we should just address very basic preamble of what constitutes the understanding of Devi. So here it was. If you have any questions, you can DM me or my team will respond to you. And very soon I will also be starting a practice about imbibing different forms of Devi in yourself, slowly and steadily. So till then, Ma Devi, let her be with you in your decisions, in your sankalpa, in your willpower, and in all of your actions. Namaste.